Good morning, I'm Liang Xinyu, and today I'm presenting the progress and finding from Cycle 1 of my essay research titled Improving Creative Thinking in Oil Painting Through Virtual Gallery Tours Among Undergraduate Fine Art Students at Unanomo University. The aim of this essay research is to evaluate how virtual gallery tours, or VGTs, can enhance the creative thinking abilities of oil painting students. To do this, I adopted a mixed methods approach, combining both quantitative and qualitative methods to gain a well-rounded understanding of the student progress. The participants were 13 second-year undergraduate students majoring in oil painting. Most had strong technical painting skills, but limited exposures to symbolic expressions and low confidence in their creative capabilities. Notably, 18% had never visited curated exhibitions, and over 86% were unfamiliar with virtual galleries before this study. For the quantitative part of data collection, I used two main methods. Firstly, creative thinking pre- and post-task. Before and after the VGT intervention, students were asked to complete a creative oil painting task. The scoring focused on four main dimensions: originality, elaboration, flexibility, and fluency. By comparing the scores before and after the intervention, I could measure how much impact VGT has on students' creative thinking abilities. Secondly, structured questionnaire. At the end of intervention, I also distributed a structured questionnaire to gather students' perception of the usefulness and inspiration they gained from the VGT sections. The questionnaire explored areas such as idea generation, thematic exploration, and stylistic awareness, providing deeper insight into how students experience the creative process. For qualitative insights, I use classroom observation to monitor participation and engagement, student reflective journals for their creative process, artwork analysis focusing on stylistic diversity and symbolism, and open-end questions to gather personal narratives and perspectives. Cycle 1 followed the classical four stages of essay research: plan, act, observe, and reflect. Firstly, plan. In the planning stage, I focus on identifying key issues such as students' weak visual literacy and lack of creative motivation. The key word for this stage was diagnostic text and VGE design. To better understand the student's current limitations, especially in oil painting technique and creative thinking, I conducted a pre-intervention diagnostic assessment at the beginning of the semester. This includes a structured questionnaire and an outdoor sketching task, decided to evaluate students' understanding of oil painting style, material use, composition, and their ability to express original ideas. During the action stage, I implemented the virtual gallery tour sections. As students explored different artworks, they were asked to complete specific observation tasks and connect with their soul with previous theoretical knowledge. They also did a creative sketching activities, where they translate their impressions into concept drawing or inspiration sketch based on gallery experience. Throughout the VGT sections, I conducted systematic classroom observation. These observations help supplement the survey data and provide rich qualitative insight into students' engagement levels, creative behaviors, and emotional involvement during the process. Finally, in the reflection stage, I analyzed all the data collected to inform the design of Cycle 2. This includes reviewing what worked, what did, and how I could improve the next round of interventions. This slide presents three main findings. Limited prior exposure. Most students have good technical skills but lack experience with symbolic expression and virtual galleries. Improved creative attitude. Over 17 reports increased creativities and focus after VGT. shifting from passivity to autonomy. Better classroom engagement, students become more interactive, expressive, and confident in discussing and applying artistic ideas. And this slide highlights three key improvements. Improve virtual literacy. Student progress from lack symbolic thinking to 76.7%, being able to use visual language confidently, including metaphor, colors, and mood. Better artwork quality. High quality works increased from 10% to 43.3%, while low quality ones dropped from 16% to 20%. Feedback shift towards more symbolic and intentional expression. Positive students' reflection. Students describe VGT as inspiring and freeing. Key themes like gained inspiration and symbolic thinking were visualized in a word count. Here I would like to share some examples of student artworks from Cycle 1. Let's start with the achievements. Overall, the implementation of Cycle 1 effectively improved students' creative thinking, symbolic expression, and engagement. If we compare the two artworks shown here, the one on the left was done before the intervention. This is very much a direct copy of photo, more like paint what you see, with little interpretation or transformation. The one on the right, however, showed clear progress. The student experimented with texture by mixing different materials to create a rich surface effect. They also made international choice about what to include and what to leave out in the composition, which gave them much more creative freedom. So we can see the student move from imitating reality to expressing idea, which is a key goal of this research. While I did observe clear improvement, I also faced some new challenges. As shown here, many students start to move beyond traditional realistic oil painting. They began experimenting with mixed media, combining different textures and materials in creative way, which is great progress. However, most of them still struggle to develop a consistent personal style. Their creative performance was not very stable. They often find it hard to translate abstract concepts into a series of coherent visual narratives. So while their creative was growing, they still need more support in building structure and clarity in their artistic expression. Next, I'd like to briefly explain the two key adjustments I made for Cycle 2. First, the instructional design were defined. In Cycle 1, I noticed that although students had creative ideas, they often struggle to present them in a clear and coherent way. To address this, I introduced several new elements in Cycle 2. Personalized visual prompt, small scale creative task, and structured peer feedback section. These strategies were decided to help students translate the inspirations they gained from virtual gallery tour into independent and meaningful artistic expression, rather than just producing disconnected or experimental ideas. Second, I improved the data analysis process. In Cycle 1, I found some of the observation records were inconsistent and part of the analysis were somewhere subjective. So in Cycle 2, I used a structured observation checklist and a standardized coding system to ensure that the data would be more reliable, comparable, and effective. Thank you for your attention and support. I welcome any feedback or suggestion.